organization system as a PM consists of keeping things in your head, writing to-do lists and notes in notebooks, or sending yourself Slack messages and emails with notes and reminders, this video is for you. As product managers, we have a lot of information flowing from all sides, and we often have multiple projects to manage, monitor, and follow up. A lot of things to juggle. There is so much we need to stay on top of. That's why having a way to manage your workload as a product manager is critical to free your mind from storing things so that you can use your brain to actually have those good product ideas. My ultimate productivity framework for PMs consists of 3 core steps. Step 1, dump. Step 2, focus, and step 3, execute. I'm going to show you how to set up the step 1 in this video, and in the upcoming 2 videos, I'm going to explain you steps 2 and 3. But before that, if you just got hired as a PM and you're wondering, what in the world do I do now? I'm here to help you out. My name is Jelena and I'm a VP of product in a remote startup, and I've been doing product for over 5 years. If your job currently feels like everything everywhere all at once, I created this channel to help you master product management with confidence and clarity every step of the way. So let's get into the video. When I was a junior PM, my only organization tool was a notebook with an endless to-do list. Like literally, my to-do list was multiple pages. The challenge with such a method is that it creates false impression that things on to-do lists are all equally important and they all need to be done right now. Just imagine having a backlog of things. They're just random things and they all are important and should be worked on right now. Second issue with the to-do list is that it provides no context of big picture with regard to where I was going in the long run, since the list never contained those things that were moving me actually forward, but it was just a lot of, urgent things here and there, like ideas and so on. It was a mixture of everything. To-do list is just a list, and it wasn't really clear when I would complete any of the items from the list. So what normally ended up happening is that I would just move tasks from one day to the next. I would write and rewrite the items on my to-do list every day and all the time. And then I figured out, okay, this cannot work, and I started researching productivity, and I watched, I kid you not, over hundreds of videos and probably read hundreds of books over the course of, I think, 4 years to come up with the ultimate productivity framework for product managers. So in this video, I'm taking you through step 1, which is dump, and then in 2 upcoming videos, I'll walk you through steps 2, which is focus, and step 3, execute. I said earlier that as a PM, we have a million things flying towards us, like from all sides, be it requests, project tasks, ideas, feedback, like all of it. In order to manage this river of things that comes your way, you need basically a catch-all system that will capture anything that comes your way and basically get it out of your head and your crappy to-do list and notebooks. Why do we care about this? Because our brain is for having ideas, not storing them, as productivity veteran David Allen likes to say, and I like to quote him on that. So what you need basically is a new brain, a better brain, a digital brain, a brain that can hold all the things for you with limited capabilities and storage, and this brain is called a second brain. What in the world is the second brain, you must be thinking? So the second brain is a system, productivity system, essentially pioneered by another productivity expert called Tiago Forte, and the purpose of this system is to manage and organize all your knowledge and notes so that you can reference it and start observing patterns in your knowledge and make connections that you never thought you would be able to make. So I created my own second brain from all my notes and knowledge, and it has transformed my life, and I'd be happy to share kind of my knowledge system and the Notion template that I created for it in a different video, so drop me a comment if you're interested in this topic. But when it comes to organizing massive workload, as a PM, I applied Tiago's second brain principles to create a version of a essentially digital dumping ground for all the things that come my way as a product manager, well now VP product, but also as a product manager. I will also link Tiago's website if you're interested in exploring the second brain teaching that he's been doing. So the first step in my framework is dump, and that's because basically you're supposed to create a digital dumping ground to kind of store all these things that come your way, feedback, ideas, requests, tasks, like all of it. Drop it all in one place. So here's how it works. So let's first discuss the platform. My favorite platform for creating this digital dumping ground is, of course, Notion. I'm sure you could do the same thing with Google Sheets, Trello, or Coda, but I'm a Notion user both in my professional life and my personal life, so using Notion just makes sense for me. Choose the platform you like, but let that platform be Notion because, that's just a good decision. I'm also going to leave a Notion template for this digital dumping ground so that you can copy it and get started easily. Now, let's discuss the layout. The layout of this digital dumping ground is very similar essentially to a Scrum board. The first column on this board is the backlog. Very much like Scrum backlog, this column will include all the things that come your way, reminders, tasks, project, feedback, ideas, all of it. Everything that pops in your head or comes from somebody else goes into your backlog. Every time you think, oh, I should do this, you open an issue and put it immediately in your backlog. Essentially, if it takes longer than 2 minutes to do, it should be dumped in your backlog. So the second column is things that you will do next. So this is your to-do column. Keeping up with the Scrum team, consider this essentially what will go into your sprint. So what I normally do is I move to the to-do column all the items from the backlog that I commit to working on during a given week. Keep in mind that this is not supposed to be a to-do list of any random items. It is an actual commitment to complete specific tasks, just like basically your development team would do when they're doing sprint planning. So when you do this, when you really intentionally move items from your backlog into your to-do column, you're basically kind of aware of what you're committing yourself to and what is the top priority at the moment instead of getting distracted and wrapped up into things that are not very important. The third column includes all the things that you're actively working on, that you're essentially currently working on. I try not to have more than one item that I'm working on at a time. Sometimes I juggle two things if I'm kind of focused on larger projects, but I kind of try to keep the cap of 1 to 2 things. Essentially, I believe in power of focus on a single thing because I tried multitasking on a few occasions in my life and I failed miserably every time and resulted in myself getting fully burnt out. It was very messy, so I try to avoid that. Actively choosing what you're working on will again bring more focus to your workday and your work life. This brings us to the fourth column, which will include all the things that I have completed, but for it to be fully complete, it requires development, and I will move it into development stage. I know that I hand it over to the development team and I just need to monitor it until they're done. I don't put every little task in here that is in development, but for example, if I had a project to implement a product change required to comply with new data protection laws that are coming into effect, I would define all these product changes on the product level. Usually that's a lot of work back and forth with the legal team, but for that project to be essentially fully complete, development team needs to implement some of these changes, so I will move such tasks into development until they're fully completed by the team and kind of my input is no longer required. This way I understand for each kind of item, each task that I was working on, I understand where exactly it is and what's happening with it, so I can fully follow through with it. The fifth column is very similar to the in development stage. It's a little bit different in that sense that I move all the things that are being blocked by something or somebody else. So for example, if I need feedback from somebody, or I'm awaiting designs, for example, or I'm waiting for a response from somebody on something, that's when it goes into the monitor stage. And usually when it's in the monitor stage, it means that it will kind of come back to me once I received that input that I needed. Or for example, if I ask a copywriter to write copy for a new feature that I'm launching, I have this project in the monitor stage before I can then move forward with it. And the final column consists of kind of two elements. So the first one is done. So once the project is fully done, I can move it to the done stage and, well, pretty much forget about it. And then the second stage, kind of have the obsolete projects. So I move here all the items that might have been relevant at some point, but are no longer relevant. I know that I will not tackle them, but I want to keep them, maybe reference them later. So I just pop them into the obsolete space. Now that I explained the basic layout of this digital dumping ground or your second brain, so let's talk about how to use it. So each card, essentially each issue on the board should match a project or a task or anything that basically requires any attention from you in any way. Obviously, every issue should have a title, but this system really gets powerful when you start adding description or details to your issues. For example, if I spoke to my team and someone mentioned that we need a better way to manage feedback, I will open an issue and I will write down quick notes about the conversation so that I can have the context. If that conversation happened on Slack, I will link the link to the conversation into the description of the issue, and I will essentially leave myself notes as many notes as possible, so when the time comes for me to actually take on this project and work on it, I already have a lot of context and it's going to be so much easier for me to get started. So instead of kind of trying to remember, oh, who did I talk to, what did they tell me, like what did we decide, what did we agree on, I will immediately and continuously log that into my second brain, into each issue, and then when I start working on them, I already have so much information and it's so much easier for me to actually do the work. Another thing I do, for example, is I meet with a lot of external companies to discuss details about potential partnerships, or like I meet with our customers to discuss kind of how we can support their needs. And I will also open an issue in here and document essentially everything that we discussed, any documentation that we might have received from them. I will note the next steps that we agreed on, basically any detail that will kind of make it easier for me later to make decisions and move forward. As I work through different stages of an issue, I keep adding details, attaching documents, logging decisions in every issue on this board. By the time I'm done with the issue, I have documented the entire history, and it's going to be so much easier for me to understand what's going on. You must be thinking, well, this takes a ton of time. In all honesty, it doesn't, because I just get it out of my head and save a ton of time searching for it later all over the place. So I take brief notes and essentially I leave notes to my future self, kind of thinking, oh, what will my future self need when she starts working on a particular project? I'm not trying to be perfect here to make perfect notes and research, and I'm not very fussy about it. I just enter like kind of key details that will trigger my kind of decision-making understanding later. So I know I said in the beginning of the video that this is your digital dumping ground, but it still basically needs to be a useful one. It's not just supposed to be like a place you throw trash and forget about it, which leads me basically to estimates and essentially priorities. So the second brain will consist of a mixture of projects and tasks, right? Sometimes ideas. So for me, a project is what we in Scrum like to call essentially an epic. It's usually something bigger that consists of a lot of small tasks. And tasks, on the other hand, for me is something that's smaller, equivalent to a user story that can usually be accomplished within a few hours or within a week maybe. Why am I saying this? Because similarly to how you groom a product backlog with your team, you basically want to groom your digital brain and your, well, digital dumping ground essentially. So this means that occasionally I recommend that you estimate the effort required to complete each item in your backlog, so that when you're doing your planning, you have a healthy balance between bigger projects and then smaller issues that you can complete faster. So I do simple estimates with t-shirt sizes starting from XS to XL, which indicates to me how complex each issue on the board is. I will break down larger projects into small and more manageable tasks so that I can actually complete them during a given week when I encounter a really big project. So for example, at the moment, I have a project in my second brain to complete product strategy course on the Reforge platform. So instead of just opening an issue, complete a product strategy course, which is essentially like a goal, I will split this large project or a goal into smaller tasks. I will essentially, in this case, split it into course modules so that I can complete a course module within a week or so. This way I will know exactly how much effort it will basically take me to complete the entire course or complete any other issue that's in my backlog. By the way, if you would like me to review the Reforge platform and the courses I have taken so far, drop me a comment. I would be really glad to talk about this topic. And keeping up with the grooming theme, the next thing to do is to prioritize your backlog from time to time. At this point, you captured all the issues coming your way, you added details to have context about what needs to be done, and you estimated the effort required to complete each issue that's in your backlog. The final thing to do to get your brain organized is to prioritize prioritize the issues in your second brain, essentially. The logic here, again, is very similar to how we groom and prioritize product backlogs. So the most important issues are on the top, the least important ones are on the bottom. I'm sure you're all very familiar with how this works. I apply this method to all the stages for all the issues, issues that are in monitor, issues that are in to-do, issues that I'm doing. So can I work always from the highest priority things to the lowest priority things. So this way I have clear overview of what is the top priority and requires my focus and what is essentially just a distraction. I will discuss a little bit more about the topic of focus in the next video in this series on how to decide what requires your utmost attention as a product manager and what is just kind of keeping you distracted. And I will be releasing that video in 2 weeks' time. And this essentially concludes the discussion of this digital dumping ground or your second brain as a product manager. The best thing about this system is that it's flexible, has endless capacity, it's accessible anytime, anywhere, on your phone, on your laptop, offline, online, whenever you need it. This is kind of a gentle nudge to actually build your second brain in Notion. But the truly greatest thing about the second brain is that you can reference it at any moment. So the next time someone asks, oh, what happened with that partner? Or why did we make this decision? What happened here? If you added decent notes in your second brain, you will be able to basically easily find it and kind of understand what happened, what you did, and why. And I really believe that this is worth the small investment, time investment, so that you can have this knowledge accessible later, isn't it? Well, that concludes this video. Thank you for watching it. If you're finding it valuable, please give it a thumbs up. Also subscribe to my channel for more product videos like this one. Here is another video from me that you might enjoy. Until the next video, keep creating user value.